Master Builders, where we are all about helping you build a better business. We explore the ideas and practices that help us get the best from our businesses, teams, and ourselves. I'm your host, Ryan Castle, along with Dr. Mike Ashby. Each week, we talk to experts, advocates, and business owners in the construction industry to share their knowledge, insights, and experiences to help you build a better business and enjoy a better life. In addition to the podcast, the Registered Master Builders Elevate is also an online learning platform hosting courses, programs, and content that help construction business owners and their staff to build a better business. Now let the business building begin.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Mike Ashby from the Breakthrough Company. This is my business partner, Ryan Castle.
Oh, no, I see how you stole the intro there.
I did.
That was nice.
I did. We're going to do a little role reversal today.
All right. Okay, so, should I be scared?
Yeah, we're going to have a little real-time online coaching.
Really? Mm-hmm. Really? So who's the coach and who's the client
actually,
here?
funnily enough, you're going to coach yourself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds interesting.
Tell me about your week, Ryan. Tell me about how it's been in these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, look, at the Breakthrough, we really avoid using the word busy. So what we tend to do is we find other words that mean the same thing, just so we can avoid doing it. Yes. It has been a big couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. We've had workshops with clients. We've had workshops with our advisor partners.
I know it.
We have had new product development. Mm-hmm. We have had marketing content and marketing development happening. There has absolutely been a lot going on.
Up the wazoo, really.
Yeah, good term. Good term.
And how's the kind of sense of progress?
Everywhere I look, there are things that are started and not finished.
Yes. Doesn't that snag your nightie?
Yes. Not much of a nightie wearer, but yeah, I get the idea. Look, the word for me was frustration, and hence the topic for this podcast episode of how do you end your frustration. And I think for me, I'm very clear on our business vision.
I know you are.
I'm very clear on the most important goals that we need. I'm very clear on our purpose. And I'm very clear on the steps that we need to take to get there. Mm-hmm. But damn it, nothing seems to be happening as fast as I would like it to.
I know. And I think it's one of those things that, as we've talked about, one of the things about working with Ryan is there's a wonderful intensity, but whenever, with any of the kind of strength that we have, and I think your intensity and your passion and commitment is a fabulous strength, but there's always a flip side, and the flip side is it can also be frustration. That intensity can become frustration.
Look, in our active management program, module 3, possibly 4, is where we talk about the styles that we each have. Module 4. And the style 4 options: pioneer, driver, guardian, or integrator. Mm-hmm. I sit very strongly in the driver space. And drivers are well known for the when is that going to happen question.
This is what we've decided.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's get it done.
Yes, there is the occasional table banging, loud clapping that happens from me. Yes. In a positive, encouraging kind of way, I like to think. But that, you were talking about kind of the flip sides of that. And yes, we know that having drivers in your organisation are valuable. Mm-hmm. But when things are not moving as fast as you want them to be, drivers can get frustrated. And I know that I was having a significant impact on the team over the last couple of weeks because I was letting my frustration bubble over.
You will transmit whatever's going on for you as a leader. You will transmit.
Yeah. And it's really just not a great place to be as a leader, and I need to do a better job of owning that emotion and thinking about where we're at and how we're going. And Dan Meiklejohn, who's our board chairman, he was doing coaching with another client of ours, Simon, another leader who I suspect also a strong driver personality. And Simon was similarly frustrated about progress in his organisation. And Dan put together a great phrase or a great insight, which I reflected on this week, which was the organisation can only move at the pace the organisation moves at, not the pace the leader wants it to.
Yeah, that's very wise.
Yeah, so I think it was a good reflection for me to go, hey, frustration, actually not a particularly helpful emotion. Let's acknowledge what we've got on the go, what we're trying to achieve, and then let's be smart about how we do progress things. And I think one of the traps for leaders is often we're not the ones doing a lot. And, we're not the doers. We're not the doers in the organisation.
We're not doing stuff.
So often our team, they're already at capacity with the doing. And then we ride in on the old new idea horse and go, hey team, can we get this done as well? And can we get it done this week? Or actually yesterday would be better.
And in fact, so you ride in on the horse if you're a driver, and if you're a pioneer, you fly in on the helicopter.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Kind of drop in, actually never quite land, and just go, hey, new idea, wonderful kind of concept here, let's do this, and then take off again. Yeah.
So in an organisation that has a very strong pioneer and a very strong driver.
Perfect. It's a perfect organisation.
Our team loves us.
So the old way, so I guess we're kind of aware of this, which is a very powerful thing. And I suppose when we think about the old way, and I think about some of the managers I had, I learned a lot, but I also learned a lot about what not to do. So how do you kind of know that you are slipping into that frustration? What occurs for you? How do you kind of get that sense?
I think the obvious one is the team are looking for my input or questions, and I'm in not now.
Right.
The not now zone.
The not now.
The not now zone, where I'm frustrated that things aren't moving, so I'm trying to get in there and push the wheel harder to get things going, and that's a real tell for me, is when I'm not available for the team, when they've got questions or things they need to know. That's a biggie for me.
And is the kind of a little mental process of, damn it, I'll just do it myself. Is that a signal as well?
Totally.
Oh, is it?
Totally. Of course, I'm being well exposed here. Of course, I talk to clients when I'm doing coaching with them about all these things, and it's so much easier to teach than it is to do.
Yeah.
But here we go.
Yeah.
Look, that totally is, and I think it's easy to slip into that piece where you go, it's now going to take me longer to show someone else or teach them how to do something. Oh God, I'll just do it myself.
Got to make progress.
And of course, that just adds to the frustration.
Yeah. But I think the key part about that is, that it always starts, all change, all progress starts with clarity, with awareness, actually. It starts with awareness. Yep. You can make no change. Like if you're kind of mature, if your default setting is to yell, scream, kind of go and do stuff, and you don't even know you're doing it, then nothing's going to change. But, I think one of the areas we work in ourselves and with our clients is really about kind of being able to observe ourselves. That's mindfulness. That's the very heart of active management, is observe how you are as if you're kind of detached. Look for feedback, look for the signs that yourself. You're kind of going into that space. You can't do anything with it until you know that it's happening. So, it starts with awareness, and then you get some clarity, and then you get commitment. They're the 3 steps always. ACC, awareness, clarity, commitment. So you've got that awareness. What happens now? What are you clear about?
So I think the first bit for me was what's the attitude that I'm bringing when I walk in the door. So yes, I need the awareness bit. I know that there's some things that really help with my attitude before I even arrive at the door. Right. Exercise is a big one. If I'm getting my exercise in, I know that really, really helps. Doing some things to train the voices in my head. And I find reading and podcasts and things that I find inspirational and insightful really help with that. So they give me good context before I arrive in here, the big ones. And then something I did a few days ago was actually what I refer to as the mind dump. Of going, that was part of it. I was going, we've got this going on, we've got that going on, and it just found like this big buzz going on my head. So literally sat down with a blank piece of paper. And for those of you that don't know me well, paper is not something I go to quickly. I'm a very electronic kind of guy, avoid paper at all costs pretty much. But the psychological piece of starting with a blank piece of paper, being able to literally, I just used the mind map and literally just documented the different areas and what we had going on. And I used what I referred to as the 7 Ps, just as a way to think about it. So people, so our internal team. So a reflection for me, how's each person tracking, what's going on, what's happening. Patrons, of course, what I refer to there is our customers, but customer doesn't start with P, so it had to be patrons. Customers, nice. Clients, members, whatever it is that you have.
Punters.
Punters.
Patrons.
Patrons, yeah. Either or.
Yeah.
Thinking about them and what
Yeah.
are we doing a good job? How are we delivering customer experience to them?
Yeah.
Partners are in our business are critically important. They're part of our path to market. But if you don't have what we'd refer to as a partner channel, then think of partners as suppliers, those kind of people that work with you in your organisation or alongside you to help make things happen. Next one, platforms. We're a very technology-driven business, so the platforms we're using are very important. And I think regardless of the industry you're in now, every business has to be a technology company.
Every business is a technology business.
And if you're avoiding technology, then you're missing out on efficiency and effectiveness. Product is the next one. So for us, that's about our programs that we deliver, what's happening there.
Yep.
Process. So how do we, everything from how do we get things from the start through to the finish. I think about profit as a wrapper for finance.
Yep.
So things like cash flow and capital and how we're dealing with those. And
it's the kind of sustainability, the financial sustainability of the business.
Correct.
Yeah.
How we tracking.
Yep.
And promotion. So thinking there about sales and marketing. What are we doing to attract new business? What are we doing to keep it? How are sales occurring? What are we tracking? And for me, just to literally use that 7 Ps framework, drop it down on a mind map and go, what have we got going on? Firstly, it felt a relief because it was out of my head and down on paper, and then it just gave me a great tool. You and I talked about it briefly. I had a great session with our digital manager Milani yesterday, going, hey, this is all we've got going on, and then that allowed us to have a real priorities discussion.
Great. Yeah. The 8th P.
Oh, the 8th P.
Because that's what it's about. In the end, it's about. I know what you mean. I can remember various times when I have had that same thing. Oh my God, there's so much going on in my head. And actually it is the amount of, it's the stuff I can, it's like ping pong balls kind of racing around inside my head. There's all this stuff going on. There's all this noise, and it's the noise that causes the stress. It's the lack of clarity. It's the sheer volume of just fragments. And when you've got that many things going on, it causes, well, stress is a mismatch between your expectations and reality, quite simply. And your expectations are all in here. Your expectations are that you're across that stuff, you're making progress on it, you're doing it all, it's all happening. Reality is you're not. So I've done the same thing myself at various times. I've just kind of dumped everything into a long, long list. I haven't even tried to be as clever as you in terms of organising it. I've done that later. I've just gone everything, just get it all out there.
Yep.
And then I can go through and say, okay, here's the big ones, the big to-dos, and here's the little to-dos. Here's the must-dos. And that's a process of prioritisation.
Yes.
And the sorting of priorities in the end is, how do we ease the frustration? We choose the things that we want to make the progress on. Is that in a nutshell?
Absolutely.
So you started that process?
Started that process, and just to keep some more P's into this podcast, the precursor P was the purpose piece.
Yes.
So we've got a lot going on.
Yep.
But before I even did that mind map, I actually wrote in the corner, what's our purpose? Yeah. And our purpose is to change business leaders' lives for good.
Yeah.
And it gave me one connection back to why we do what we do, because it's so important to us. And secondly, it gave me context. So when I was doing the prioritization, I was like, well, which of these things are going to help us change some more business leaders' lives? And that quickly helped us to, eliminate, I think, a couple of things that I was going, we're not making progress.
Yeah.
And then it was like, actually, that is still something we want to do, but it's just not critical right now. Right. So let's not.
And relative to the mission, relative to that purpose, does it give us progress on that? No. And everything's relative, right? Yes, it does, but does it give us as much progress or make as much contribution to our purpose as that one over there?
Yes.
No? Okay. That gets parked.
Absolutely.
So it's that kind of relativity. And the brain really struggles with that because you're trying to create two different realities, a reality in which you do this and a reality in which you do that. Now, neither reality exists except in your head, and you've got to go, okay, between that imagined reality and that one, I think I'll choose that one. Yeah? Yes. So it requires thought, and our brains don't like doing that. Our brains just keep going, trying to achieve traction across everything without actually thinking too much about why we're doing this and one thing relative to another. So that process of stopping and having to think about it is critical and quite hard. Quite hard.
And I think what helps with that is if you can talk it through with someone else. Now, I'm very fortunate that I can come and talk to you about this kind of stuff and go, hey, look, I'm frustrated. This is what we've got going on.
And we have our regular. We're about to go for our regular weekly lunch, and that's part of the structure. Having a structure for that.
That helps. So if you're in a situation where you don't have a business partner or someone you can talk to, look at getting an external advisor, get a coach, get someone, get a mentor that can help with that.
For sure.
Mike gave me fantastic advice, which was stop trying so hard. And as a driver, personality type, it's what you do. You just try and you're really committed and passionate about it. But it was such well thought and well delivered advice was, actually just, I have to let things happen at the pace which the organisation can do. So sometimes that means I have to button off and allow things to happen. It doesn't come naturally, but it was wise insight, partner, wise insight. It's for another P. That's good. So look, guys, I think as a bit of a recap, the things you could do: connect to your purpose again. Why are you doing what you're doing? Get it all down. Think about that mind map. Maybe use some of those structures around the different areas of your business just to help get it out of your head. Then prioritize. Get really clear on the stuff that really does matter, and it also allows you to do a bit of a declutter.
So important. And actually, I think one of the things I say is no creates space. And when you say no to something, you say no, we're not going to pursue that just at the moment. That creates more space for the higher value things. But it does start with, and this is tough. Having all those things feels like this would be nirvana if we could get all the stuff done. Actually go back to your 80-20. Only 20% of those things are going to create 80% of the value. So decluttering allows you to focus on those few things that are going to make the big difference.
And I think a good lesson for leaders is to bring the team on the journey. Include them. Don't be afraid to say that you're feeling frustrated, but let's have a inclusive discussion about why that is. Then look at those things to prioritize. I did some of that prioritization work with Melanie yesterday. And at the end of that session, you could see both of us were a lot calmer because we'd gone, that is important. We have to get that done. Let's park that. Let's leave that one. We'll do that one in July, not in June.
I think the question of how do you end the frustration, if we dig a bit deeper into that for a moment, is I think the frustration's caused by not feeling that you're in control. Is that a fair call?
Yeah, I think it is. If I reflect, I looked at this thing, I felt like I had 10 projects and all of them were in progress. Nothing was getting finished. And so it felt like everywhere I looked, it was like, I'm not in control of that one because I'm not in control of that one because that's not finished. I'm not in control of that because that's not progressing as fast as I wanted. So,
I think the frustration's in your head, and it's to do with your power to make things happen. So the way to end that frustration is to make some choices. Is to say, well, I'm not even going to try to make that work. That's just going to sit over there until 3 months down the track or whatever. I'm choosing these things, and I'm going to put more effort into those. And I think with that comes a sense of, I've got control over these. These are the ones I choose to do something about. These are the ones I choose to leave for now. And I think when you take control of your environment like that, you're actually taking control of yourself. And then you're saying, the message to yourself is really around, I've got this. These things are within my kind of scope of doability. The kind of, I used to call it the zone of sensible excitement. And those things over there, they can just wait. And having made those choices, actually it is the act of making the choice that gives you a sense of, right, okay, the world is not running me. I'm running my world.
Spot on.
So that's how we end that, to the question, how do we end the frustration? We make some choices. We take control of ourselves and our world.
Spot on.
Cool.
We'd love to hear your guys' take on how you end your own frustrations. Be surprised if there's a business leader in the world that hasn't experienced frustration either very regularly or at least occasionally. So drop us a note in the comments, come back to us. We'd love to hear how you guys are dealing with frustration and whether that sense of taking control is something that would help you in your day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month progress in your own business. Thanks for joining us on this episode.
Thanks. See ya.